Hello, I'm the Brown Booktuber and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be tier listing the books I read in school. You might be wondering, what does that have to do with Asian books? Well, I'll talk about it after I tier list the books, so stick around to the end of the video for that one. So basically, these are the books I had to read. It was compulsory for me to read these books in school. I did humanities until the age of 18, so I read a lot of books optionally to supplement my learning because I was a nerd. So these are only the books that I could remember off the top of my head that I had to read, and it was mandatory for me to read these books. It's about 15 books. I'm sure I read more for school, but I can't remember. So, also I did English until I was 18, and I did history until I was 18. So that kind of explains some of these books. So in no particular order, I'm going to start off with what I did the last time I recorded this. What? So, by the way, S tier, fantastic book. A tier, good book. B tier, yeah, it's fine. C tier, it's not great. And D tier, I wish I hadn't read this book. So, we're going to start off with Dr. Faustus, the Christopher Marlowe version. I think I read the A text, so the version that was completely by Marlowe. C tier. I had it in B tier the first time I recorded this. I'm putting it in C tier. Why? Because it was only the A text I read, which is the text that has been completely unedited, except for that of Marlowe. And it really doesn't lend itself to being an enjoyable read. Probably not an enjoyable play either. I think most plays of this are done in the B text, which has been altered. I don't remember who altered it, but they altered it to make it a little bit more suited to being a play. I think it was the B text. I can't remember. It was one of them, okay? I might edit which text it was. But yeah, I think if you can find a good production of Dr. Faustus, go and watch it. Or if you can pick up the book for like a quid, maybe go to an independent bookshop. Up next is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I don't remember which version I read, but perfection. Fantastic. I frankly think Frankenstein is one of the... I think Frankenstein is one of the best books I've ever read. Frankly, it might be one of the best books ever written, in my opinion. It is fantastic, and the more you read it, the more you have to analyze that book, the deeper and more wow that book becomes. So yeah, S tier, Frankenstein. And that's really hard for all the other ones to get up to. Let's go with Beloved by Toni Morrison. I'm not gonna lie, I read this book, I think when I was like 11. So I'm gonna put it in B tier because I didn't do any back reading because the criteria for this, which I should have laid out at the beginning, is how I felt reading the book when I read it and how I feel about the book now as well. Those are the two things this tier list is going to be based on. I think B. I think it's B because I don't remember the book very much. Again, I read it when I was 11, but some of these I also read at a very young age. I don't really remember it, but I think what I do remember was good, and frankly, I think it's an outlier in the type of book that's here. I'll explain that at the end when I link all of this back to being the Brown Booktuber who specializes in Asian books. Hey, remember to hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and share this with your friends. You know, comment down below what you think of all of these books too. Up next is we're going to go with Stalin's Autobiography by Robert Service. I'm going to put it as a B because this was one of the longest books I have had to read for school. To be honest, this probably wasn't on the curriculum, but I had a teacher who was like, you have to read this. And I'm like, sir, why? But I digress. It's a fine biography. Like, Robert Service tries to be somewhat neutral in his books. I feel like he wasn't super neutral. There was a lot of facts, like factual information in this, but I didn't feel super, it was fine. It was fine. I didn't dislike reading it, and I didn't think it's a bad autobiography. It's not a bad biography. It's just like fine. It would be like in between B and C, I think. Up next we have, let's go with another play. Let's go with, I think this one's A Midsummer's Night Dream. didn't realize it cut off. So yeah, this one's Midsummer's Night Dream. I'm gonna put Midsummer's Night Dream as a B. Midsummer's Night Dream isn't one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I think it's fine. Again, it's like, to me, Midsummer's Night Dream is fine. It's passable. It's not like the best. I like, if you had a choice of Shakespeare plays to watch at the Globe, Midsummer's Night Dream wouldn't be my first pick. I'm not gonna lie. So, oh yeah. Also, this isn't a sponsorship, so I'm not gonna show the logo. Got this for free. Oh god, I should show the logo. Got this for free. I love borderline coercive marketing in central London. Let's move on. I'm gonna go with. Oh, you know what? Here's one. Ian McEwan's Enduring Love is a D. This is. I wish I hadn't read this book. I hate this book. I do not like Ian McEwan books in the slightest. I don't like Ian McEwan books. I don't like the themes. I don't like the stories. I don't like any of the characters. Like, I've tried, man. I've read maybe 3 or 4 Ian McEwan books to try and find one I liked. None of them. People say Atonement is a fantastic book. It made a great movie. No, it didn't. The movie and the book are bad, in my opinion, obviously. I don't think it's a very good book. Enduring Love isn't good either. Like, I don't know which one I dislike more, Atonement or Enduring Love. I just feel like... Also, looking at it, this book could potentially be read as being kind of homophobic as well. I'm not gonna lie. I don't fully remember. No, I do. Like, I try to block out Ian McEwan books, but I can't. Yeah, man, this book kind of feels borderline homophobic too, but none of the characters are likable. I don't care about any of the characters because none of them are likable. Like, I don't care about the main character because he is unlikable. And I'm pretty sure the main character has a wife. They're unlikable too. I don't like anyone in this book, okay? Which is why it's a D tier, and I wish I'd never read this book. Up next, we have To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird goes as an A tier. I think To Kill a Mockingbird is a really good book. For a long time, it was probably one of my favorite books. I have soured on this book, and like I said, the criteria is how I felt when I read the book and how I feel now about the book. I read the sequel to this, Go Set a Watchman, which probably was, I think it was an early manuscript. It was like the manuscript of the original book, and then the publisher was like, this Scout character seems like fun. You should make a book about Scout. And Harper Lee was like, no. And the publisher was like, make it. And it's like, okay. And now they did Go Set a Watchman, and they made Atticus Finch, who I believed was one of the best characters in American literature, at least like just a character, maybe not the best written, but just as a character. It just made him a racist, and that really soured me on it, because I was like, it's too real. It was like, yeah, you know what, Atticus was probably a racist too, but it was like way too real, and it kind of ruined the book for me. Albeit that might be a little bit petty as well, but also I think it's going to A tier because I think it's a good book, but I like reflecting on it. It's good. It's not perfect. It's nowhere near Frankenstein. Like, if Frankenstein is what I'm putting as an S tier, To Kill a Mockingbird is an A. It won't be an S tier. Up next, we're going to go with The Boys, which is a play about the History Boys. Sorry, not The Boys. The History Boys is a play about some guys trying to get into Oxford or Cambridge. They're in school. I'm gonna put this as an A tier. It's a play, sort of James Corden in it, and the movie also has James Corden, I believe. Basically, it's these guys are trying to get into Oxbridge, Oxford or Cambridge, and they have 2 teachers. One of them wants to teach them to learn to pass exams. The other one is trying to teach them to enjoy teaching. The teachers have some flaws. You know, one of them gets a little touchy-feely with one of the boys, which is kind of one of the parts of the book that they kind of talk about, which when I was reading it initially, I was like, oh, that's funny. But now I'm like, oh my God, you know what? I don't like that character very much anymore. And there's also a little bit of like sexual tension slash romance between the main character and one of the teachers. Um, I think as a play, it's really great. Like even, but also even just reading the play, I think it's great. Like it's just a good read. The movie, the adaptation they made, which I think had almost the entire cast of the original play, it's really great too. I recommend watching that. But yeah, I think it's an A. It's an enjoyable read, and I reflect back on it. I'm like, because I read it when I was the age of the characters, it kind of was like, wow, yeah, no, I feel sort of what these guys are feeling. I wasn't attracted to any of my teachers, but you know, to each their own. Uh, Mac- this is meant to be Macbeth. Okay, I didn't realize I was going to cut it off. Macbeth is a B, B or C. B. Macbeth is fine. It's a good play. I think it's overdone, and when you read it, it's oof, is it an A? I do enjoy Macbeth. I'm gonna put it at the top of B, maybe. No, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A. Macbeth goes to the bottom of A, and any other A books will come before it because Macbeth is overdone as a play. But if we're looking purely reading the play, um, I quite like Macbeth. Actually, it's far more interesting than Midsummer's Night Dream. I also do have a soft spot for Macbeth, which, hands up, might be a reason why it's going on the A tier. But yeah, we'll stick Macbeth there. Up next is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. S tier book. I think this is a really good book. Like this isn't a spoiler, but there's no to very little punctuation in this book, and it actually lends itself to the book. The book is fantastic. Um, if you're of the faint of heart, don't read this. This book will scar you for life. The film will also scar you for life. But I think it's a fantastically written book. Cormac McCarthy's books are always great, not gonna lie. And the film adaptations of Cormac McCarthy's books are always great too. So, strongly, The Road, again, one of the best books I've read. Doesn't trump Frankenstein though. Up next is The Great Gatsby. Great Gatsby goes in the B tier. Um, Frankly, it's good. It's fine. It's fine. I really liked it when I was reading it because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like Gatsby, I'm gonna be cool and suave. And then now I'm like, Great Gatsby was fine, I guess. You know, the blinking green light. Jeez, that motif. Yeah, Great Gatsby is fine in my opinion. Lord of the Flies. Oh, it's a C or a B tier. I'm not gonna lie. Am I feeling generous? I'm feeling generous. It's a B tier. It's a decent book. It's a interesting allegory he's trying to tell, sort of people without rules in society, and he's mostly talking about boys. I think the book specifically, Lord of the Flies, is about men and how men would act in society. I don't remember where I read that, but I feel like that was the interpretation most people agreed on, where All the Flies was about men and how men would act if society had no rules, and how they would try to sort of form their own society, which would basically become like an oppressive monarchy at some point, and they would just go nuts. Yeah, Lord of the Flies is a B tier. I don't think it does. I don't think it tells that allegory the best, and it can get boring at times. Um, the kill the pig slit its throat part is the best part of the book, and also spoilers for a book God knows how long ago it was written. When Piggy dies, especially in the movie, that's hilarious. The movie is so like because it's an old movie and the way they do it. But yeah, I'm gonna move on because I'm gonna just laugh about Piggy dying. Okay, up next, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a B tier as well. There's a lot of B tiers, isn't there? Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a B tier because it is a very it's a epic poem. It's a poem that's basically a short story. It's an epic poem. It's a very compelling poem, I think, and it's a good, both from the poetic structure of the poem, from like a poetry understanding, but also the way the story itself is also very compelling. Also, obviously, it's a very biblical story, but it really touches on the sublime and the beautiful things you can't experience, the beautiful things that aren't actually there, but they're beautiful. The things that aren't beautiful, but they are beautiful. The sublime. I remember having to define the sublime so many times in school, and I'm still not 100% sure what that is. But yeah, it's a B tier. It's fine. I wouldn't. It's not great. I'd be like, yeah. Again, it's an old poem. You get it for £1. Buy it. Read it. It's nice to have some poetry in your life. Romeo and Juliet. C tier. High C tier. Frankly, as someone who has read Romeo and Juliet, watched many adaptations of Romeo and Juliet, and starred in Romeo and Juliet, I used to do drama in school. It's fine. It is. No, it's not. It's boring. It's not fine. It's boring. Romeo and Juliet. Well, it depends on your sort of interpretation. Is it a tragedy or is it a comedy? And that's kind of how people kind of look at it. I think it's a tragic comedy. It's fine. I can't say the story has been told so many times. It's such a bland story because obviously it's Romeo and bloody Juliet. All the stories are based off that. But I think the source of all the best character in my opinion is Mercutio, I believe, who is Romeo's friend who gets killed. I'll have to double check that. Best character. Wish I played him. I ended up playing Paris. But yeah, that's who I think is the best character in this book. Again, it's underwhelming. It's underwhelming when you read, not the book, the play. When you read the play, when you watch the play, it's underwhelming. I guess the only time it'd be good is from the Globe standing and watching, like, wow. That would be the only time I would maybe enjoy this play. And we're on to our final book. We're on to our final book, which is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I'm putting that as an A tier. I think Great Expectations is one of the few classics, other than this is like British English classics, which I like. Other than I think Frankenstein, basically a perfect book. Great Expectations is good. It's good. Like it's the rags to riches story, and also the kind of like rags to riches, but also it kind of touches on, oh shit, you have to be a good person. That's better than just making money, because if you make money, you become a dick. It's like, what's the point? And also it basically tells you to help people, because Magwitch is the one who's actually his benefactor, and he helped Magwitch when he was young, and good things come to you if you help people. Good story, good morals. I think I prefer the ending of Great Expectations, where Pip doesn't end up with, is it Estelle? Stella? Estelle? I don't remember her name. Yeah, so I prefer that ending where they don't get together, because it's more realistic. And I think that was the original ending, and then people forced him to change it to one where they get together. Yeah, that's what I think. It's an A. It's an A. I'm gonna put it above Macbeth. Yeah. A is the only one that's kind of maybe ordered in the way that I've enjoyed them. The other ones are just there. Actually, no, they're all basically ordered in the way that I like them. I'll put Beloved in the middle just because... No, I'll put Beloved on top because I think it's a very good book from what I can recall, but I don't recall it as well as the others. But I do remember it being a very good book. Yeah, the others are kind of... Oh, no, actually, Midsummer's Night Dream can go to the bottom of B. But yeah, the rest of them are the... Yeah, this is the order. Yeah, so ultimately, the only two S tier books I read at school that were compulsory for me to read were Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Those are the only two books so I would say to you 100% read. The A tier ones, it's 2 plays and 2 books. I would recommend them. B tier, take them or leave them. I'd say Beloved actually is one you should... I'd say Beloved you should read. And Rhyme of the Ancient Mountain, if you can get it for £1, I recommend. C tier, go and watch the play, maybe? It's 2 plays. D tier, Ian McEwan, burn it out of my memories. I hate this book. So now let's loop it all back to me being the brown booktuber, and why is this relevant? If you look at these books, look at them. These are 15 books I remember reading. If we take out Robert Service's Stalin, because it's the only one that I remember reading that was compulsory for my history class, look at the books. The theme is, I think, with maybe the exception of Beloved, all of these books are about white people. And just like white people doing white people things, and it's not even because they're white people. It's just they're all so Eurocentric, and these are the books I had to read. I mean, obviously with the exception of maybe The Great Gatsby and of course Beloved. It's all very Eurocentric. Oh, and Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. Actually, yeah, Beloved and To Kill a Mockingbird are the 2 outliers because they talk about race and things predominantly. But also, all these books, there's no, especially being British, I'm British, yeah, and in schools, even in schools, they will drum into us, oh, the British Empire this, the British Empire that, and yet they don't expose us to all these cultures that the British went and attacked and whatnot. They don't, in none of our reading, nothing is, I never read a book by someone who was like me in school, who looked like me, who had family like me, who had thoughts like me, who, just none of that ever happened in school for me, which is a shame because I think it would also give a wider, literally, I never got to study any of that sort of stuff in school, but a teacher bought me and gave me a book by a South Asian author, and it was because my teacher was leaving, but also she had a tradition of, in everyone's last year of school, she would give them a book. And she was like, you showed an interest in books from outside of America and the UK, so I thought you'd enjoy this. Because optionally, I went off and I read Ishiguro's books, I read Achibi's books, I was reading Mohsen Hamid the books, additional to my schooling, because I was like, oh, I want this, and my school wasn't giving me that. And I think that's the whole point of this channel, that people aren't taught, like, we have such a narrow view on books here in the UK and in schools, and like there's no variety of themes and how things are written. Like, a Murakami book would be fantastic to study in school, maybe when you're about 18, maybe 16 to 18, because of the themes. The fantastic Murakami book would be great to read. A Mohsen Hamid book might be pretty good to read in school, but let me read Dev Das instead of bloody Lord of the Flies. I'd rather read Dev Das than Romeo and Juliet. I'd rather study that. So yeah, that's how I related all this back to being the brand booktuber. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That was kind of a rant at the end, but really I want us to read a greater variety of books from around the world, and that's why I want this channel to grow and build a community of people who share wanting to read books from the largest continent of the world. Thank you for watching. I've been the Brown Booktuber. Remember to like, subscribe, share the video, hit that notification bell. I'll try and link to all these books in the description down below, or I'll just write the names of the books in the description down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you read a fantastic book today.